Tom Thibodeau is going to have some major decisions to make with the New York Knicks rotation when the playoffs begin, and we are going to break this down. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video because Tom Thibodeau has some major decisions to make on this Knicks lineup, and Scott Perry recently spoke out on it. Yes, that's Scott Perry, the former Knicks GM, and here is essentially what Scott had to say upon the Knicks injured roster. So he basically said, if they have a minimum of, I'd say, 10 games playing together in the regular season going into the playoffs, that allows Burks and Bogdanovich to go ahead and figure out how they're going to fit in, and then Tibbs got to figure out everything in terms of minutes. Now, Zach Lowe, who was on the show with Scott Perry, said, fingers crossed that they can just get healthy and get the runaway of games, because right now they just gotta, like the Sixers, scrounge out every win they can to stay in the top 6 to avoid the play-in spot. There's 3.5 weeks left until the Knicks get to 10 games left in the season, which is obviously Scott Perry's benchmark. Now look, guys, this is going to come down to the wire where the Knicks finish in the playoffs, because as you've been seeing on the bottom of the screen here, looking at the NBA standings, outside of Charlotte, Washington, and Detroit, the East is close. Now, also, Boston has a step up above every single team in the Eastern Conference, but really the second seed, which the Cavs are doing well with running away with, but really the second seed to all the way to the 9th, 10th seed is kind of up in the air. Now, I'm not saying the Knicks are going to be a 9 or a 10 seed. That's almost impossible. But there could be a chance where the Knicks end up outside of the playoffs and in a play-in spot. And that's obviously dangerous, because then the Knicks would be 2 games away from getting eliminated if things went poorly. And obviously, we do not want that. The Knicks cannot miss the playoffs this year. It's incumbent that they get in so they continue to be a premier market for guys who are potentially going to ask out of their team in the future, depending on which playoff teams perform badly. So the Knicks need to make sure that they get this rotation going and see what works. But the problem is, when you're missing OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson, you're missing your entire starting front court. Now, probably Hartenstein will end up starting because Mitch is coming off of a surgery. There's no way he's going to be in perfect shape. So he'll probably only get around 20 minutes per night for the rest of the season and playoffs when he comes in. But still, we're without Randall, we're without OG. It makes things difficult. Those are 2 of our best scorers, and they open up a lot of opportunities for guys like Donte DiVincenzo, and they let guys like Bojan Bogdanovich and Alec Burks become more of just spot-up shooters, which is really what we want from them. Yeah, Bogey can kind of create his own shot, but the shot creation is a little less necessary as Donte DiVincenzo's taking strides, and once Randall's back, you have a few options to create your own shot. OG's also looked like he's trying to work at that and make his game more open to creating off the dribble. So the Knicks are on the right path when they're healthy, but right now we're dealing with a roster that's very depleted, and that's making things kind of interesting, especially with the emergence of Precious Achiuwa. It's kind of hard to imagine the Knicks would completely bench him during the playoffs, and the emergence of Deuce McBride, and we refrain to the same question. Who is going to be the Knicks' backup point guard in the playoffs if it isn't Deuce? Now, is Deuce going to play a ton of minutes? No, but Brunson is probably going to play around 37 to 40 minutes per game throughout the playoffs. We're going to need, for those 10 to 13 minutes, someone who can run an offense to a degree. I think Deuce is the only guy who can really do that on the Knicks outside of Brunson. He's the one who could play point guard. Now, it doesn't have to do what Brunson does. You're allowed to be completely different than the guy who you're backing up, whether Tibbs likes it or not. But if you look at Deuce McBride, last night he had 9 assists. The man can pass the ball. He can set guys up, whether it's the bench unit or the starting unit. I find it really hard to believe that there's going to be a lot of time where the New York Knicks in the playoffs do not have one of Brunson or Julius Randle out there, just so we can kind of have one of the 2 All-Stars constantly on the floor, which will just help the New York Knicks kind of keep the offense in check and all. So I assume when Brunson comes out, you could have Deuce as the point guard and put him next to shooters like Bogdanovich and put him next to Randall, who's an isolation threat. Put him with whoever else then too can hit the 3, whether it's DiVincenzo, potentially Alec Burks, and then kind of stagger Brunson and Randall's minutes to a degree to where they can run with Deuce as the backup point guard, but it still leaves questions. Who is going to be the odd man out? There's a lot of guys in the Knicks rotation who could deserve minutes, and that includes Shake Milton. And I did a poll on this because I was curious what Knicks fans thought, even though I was also pretty sure what the answer would end up being. And it was kind of surprising. I asked in a poll the other day, in a 9-man playoff rotation, which bench player should lose his minutes? And out of 254 voters, 91% of that said Alec Burks. Now, 4% said Deuce, 4% said Precious Achiuwa, and 2% said Bojan Bogdanovic. I'm not that surprised with the way this turned out, but 91% is kind of crazy. Now, I'm not great at math, so I am going to calculate right now exactly how many of that 257 people it was. So give me 1 second, and that is 234 of you out of that 257 said Alec Burks. So yeah, not even the majority, the overwhelming majority to such a degree where it's very clear what Knicks fans want to see. But I will say this about Alec Burks. If the team is fully healthy, it gives him more of an opportunity to just be a spot-up shooter and nothing else. We need Alec Burks for 10 minutes a night, spot up, take a few threes. If it works, it works. We're going to need to know if that, does work. And I think that's how the Knicks are kind of going to base this off of it. It sounds like Julius Randle is going to be back in mid-March and OG a little bit in the later end of March. So that'll be interesting to see kind of how the Knicks adjust to that and how the Knicks come back with this new vamped, fully healthy roster. And I'm definitely interested. And maybe Mitch doesn't come back. Maybe Precious goes back to playing the 5 a little bit more, and then we don't have to bench anyone. But I'm going to guess that Mitchell Robinson comes back, and obviously we have to give Mitch minutes, even though I did think about putting him on that list, just because Hartenstein will end up being the Knicks starter for the playoffs when it comes to centers, unless, God forbid, he gets injured also. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on that. But if you look at Alec Burks, he's the first player in NBA history to record over 75 field goal attempts, under 33% from the field, 30% from 3, 65% from the free throw line, and under 10 assists in his first 10 games with a new team. Now, we just talked about Alec Burks. It might be time to bench the man. He's just not working out. But that could change once the roster's fully healthy and he doesn't have to try to emulate Emmanuel quickly. Look, right now Burks is playing as kind of this 6th-man shot creator role, when in reality he should be a 9th man, getting 10 to 15 minutes a night as a spot-up shooter, and that's about it. That is what the Knicks need from Alec Burks. They need him as a locker room veteran presence, and a guy who could be a spot-up shooter. They don't need him to be Emmanuel quickly. They need him to be Alec Burks. And maybe that'll help him get back in rhythm. He did have, I think, 23 points in his second game back with the Knicks, so it's not like it's been all bad, but for the majority he's struggled. Bogdanovic has too big of a role. It's forcing him to struggle. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the Knicks get back to full health. And when you look at this rotation, we are going to see, and just imagine Jericho Sims as Mitchell Robinson in this case, because Jericho's obviously not getting playoff minutes. But we can kind of see that this could become a 9-man rotation of Brunson, DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein as the center, and then someone out of Deuce McBride, Josh Hart, Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Mitchell Robinson will get the short end of the stick. I don't believe it'll be Josh Hart. He's been playing awesome basketball, and Tibbs loves him. I don't know if it'd be Bojan because of the size. I could see it being Precious, but that feels less and less likely. So then, in my mind, it becomes between Deuce and Alec Burks. And if the Knicks bench Deuce, then Alec Burks is going to be playing in that point guard role for those minutes, which means he's not going to play that well in comparison to what he should be doing as being a spot-up wing. And that's kind of concerning. So I think the Knicks might have to bench Alec Burks for now and kind of just see what happens, see what plays out. The Knicks are obviously insanely deep for a team. Shake Milton doesn't even get mentioned there, and he's a guy who could also deserve playoff minutes. Realistically, there's 11, 12 guys in the Knicks who could be playing on a playoff rotation, but no playoffs, especially not a Tom Thibodeau playoff team, goes 12 deep. It's not going to start now, so we're going to have to see who gets the short end of the stick here. And this is what The Athletic believes. If it were a 10-man rotation, if they're fully healthy, it'd be Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. Bojan Bogdanovic, Josh Hart, Alec Burks, Precious Achiuwa, and Isaiah Hartenstein. So The Athletic believes that it could be Deuce McBride getting the short end of the stick. Though someone else is going to have to lose minutes there also, because I don't think Tibbs is going 10 deep in the playoffs when he just went 8 deep last night against the Atlanta Hawks when they had plenty of healthy players to play. It just doesn't feel likely. We're going to have to wait and see, and I cannot wait till this team gets healthy again. Comment down below what you think the Knicks should do or what you think the Knicks are going to do for their playoff rotation. What seed are the Knicks going to finish at? Who are they going to play? Like this video. Comment down below. Subscribe to Knicks Digest. We hit 5,000 subscribers. We did it. Now the road to 10K starts. And as I said, and this is a very likely goal, if we can get to 10K before the presidential election in the United States, which is, I don't know, the first Tuesday of November or something. I don't know, guys. I'm not a politician. I will vote for Taj Gibson to be the president of the United States. I will take a photo of that if it's legal, and I will post it on Knicks Digest. So get us to 10K, and you'll get to see that. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a great day, guys, and go Knicks.